I've had a few clients that tell me, I never knew about this, but literally the day after, there's a Loom transaction that they just bought the subscription and they're doing the same thing with their clients. And what
Hello, Blake Oliver here, and this is Gearing Up, a series by Relay. Relay is business banking designed for accountants and their clients. Just like me, they're obsessed with making firms more effective and efficient. So in each episode, I talk to real accountants and bookkeepers about one challenge they faced in their firm and how to solve it. Today, we have Andrea Rotondo of Cents Bookkeeping on the show. Andrea, thanks for joining me.
Hi, Blake. Thank you so much for having me.
So tell me a little bit about yourself and your firm. Where are you located? What's your firm like? We'd love to hear all about you.
Awesome. Yes. Well, like Blake said, I am Andrea Rotondo. My firm is Cents Bookkeeping. I'm currently, and for a while, we're going to be in South Florida. I was a little bit all over the place before this because my husband was in the military, but we're finally home. My firm offers bookkeeping services, and at the moment, it's just me. I'm doing all the actual bookkeeping work, and I also help another firm for keeping up with their books as well. So I have 10 of my clients, and I keep up with 10 other of their clients. I like to work specifically with women who basically are in the business of helping other people. And that usually falls under the category of therapists, coaches, and consultants.
All right. Well, it sounds like you're keeping busy there. And I love the focus. You know, I got my start as a bookkeeper. And I think one of my challenges was I didn't have a lot of focus. And so I did all sorts of different kinds of businesses. And I learned a lot, but it was really a challenge.
Yeah, definitely. And I started my focus on that because I wanted to make it a little bit more relational, more than just the actual books. And I feel like I connect with people in that aspect. And I know that that's, connecting let's have a meeting to see if we click with each other. That's like a big thing now. So I wanted to make it easy for them and for me to, let's narrow down to this.
Yeah. And it's good to be working with people who you like and who you get along with, right? That's probably more important than anything else.
Right. Exactly.
Well, tell me a little bit about your tech stack. What are you using at Liquid Cents?
So for my tech stack, I use both Xero and QuickBooks Online. It gives me the flexibility to put my clients where they need to be and where they like to be, also where their accountants are working. So it flows well in that way. I use HelloSign to sign all of the engagement letters and all of those things. I use Google Workspace to keep like a shared documents for the back and forth and eliminating a lot of emails in that aspect. And I use Loom, which we're going to talk about today.
Well, let's talk about that. You said Loom is what we're going to talk about today. I mean, what is the challenge that you were facing in your firm, and how did you solve it?
Yeah, so the main thing that I realized is that people were a little bit hesitant to outsource their books or their accounting in general. Although it is one of the first things that they actually outsource, they have that fear of who is going to have access to my accounts, and they're going to see absolutely everything coming in and coming out, and they feel judged. So there was that personal connection that was missing. And I realized that that was something that I wanted to tackle with my business. I wanted to not just provide the numbers and just hand off a report, but also create a relationship that my clients would feel comfortable with throughout the whole year. And at the same time, that also led me to think the whole balance of this could have been an email, and I really need to book a meeting for this, and how it's kind of tough sometimes to book a meeting when you need something right now, but also you don't want to write out a whole entire email to your clients telling them, like terminology from QuickBooks or Xero or account names and things like that they're not necessarily going to know, or at the same time, you might not be getting the right answer. And I realized that that was going to be a big issue as well with timing, with getting things done in time, and would also push back a little bit the whole like interaction and feeling that one-on-one attention if everything just got stuck to an email.
So rather than writing all these directions out in email, which unfortunately that's what I had to do when I started my career. And the problem is, the client, they might get the email, but then they're reading it on their phone. They don't get to it. It's long, it's complicated. Maybe they didn't understand something, and then you have to go back and forth. Problem for all of us. So what do you do instead?
So instead, what I do is I record Loom videos. I try to make them as short as possible, maybe 2 minutes, 3 minutes. And if you're not familiar with Loom, it's basically just a software that I can share my screen and you see my little tiny face in the corner. But that helps with my clients feeling like heard and seen, although it's just a video, they get to see me and hear me because all of my clients live all over the place. I don't live in the same state where they live. I don't have an office where they can come in and out. So that definitely creates that sense of, okay, I know this person, I like this person, I'm listening to what she's saying. And at the same time, I'm able to get my point across because I'm literally sharing my screen, telling them, for example, if I want to show somebody how to upload receipts to HubDoc, something that it's for us very simple, but for somebody that has never done that before, I would have to write out a whole entire step number 1, step number 2, step number 3. But if I just share it with them and tell them how to do it, it's a lot easier for them to understand it. And it doesn't feel as complicated as looking at a whole list of steps.
You're saving lots of time because you're doing it in a few minutes. And then I love the video in the corner of the picture of your face that you see in Loom. So important in the sense of the personal relationship.
I've had a few clients that tell me, I never knew about this, but literally the day after, there's a Loom transaction that they just bought the subscription and they're doing the same thing with their clients in whatever way it is they needed. So it's very flexible. It's super easy. And I also like the fact that I get a notification when they see the video. It's easier for me to keep track of who has seen it. I can put passwords in there, obviously, because I'm sharing some of their information in there. So it's practical in that aspect on my end, and on their end, it feels like I'm doing them a favor by not writing everything down.
Andrea, I think a lot of people get nervous about making videos. It's not exactly the easiest thing for us as accountants or bookkeepers. So do you have any recommendations for people? Like, were you nervous when you first started? Like, how do we get over this hurdle?
Yeah, for sure. I was super nervous in the beginning. I was so hesitant and I pushed it off for a while. But if you try to put yourself in the other position, you're going to feel the need in a way of establishing that connection. And that's something that only you can do. And I know that there's firms, for example, that have different team members. I would even have or ask them to do that as well. Or if you want to do it yourself as the firm owner, establishing some kind of personal relationship, it's not only going to be beneficial for your client, but you're also going to feel better. You're also going to feel that connection as well. And as you continue to do it, it definitely gets easier, just like everybody in social media says that. But I would say the first thing is if you don't feel comfortable with the actual video piece, you can just put your headshot in the little circle where your video or your screen is supposed to be, your face, and just put your picture and you can start recording with your voice. And then once you feel like you want to give it a try, just do it. And remember that most of the time, people are not actually looking at your face because your face is tiny on the corner. It's mostly your screen. So they're not necessarily going to be focused on your face the whole time. And that also takes the pressure a little bit off.
That's a great point. Well, there's no excuse not to get started. So thank you for those tips. Is there anything else you'd like to share with our audience? How to contact you, learn more about you online?
Yeah, I really like to hang out in LinkedIn. So if you find, like, just look it up, Andrea Rotondo in LinkedIn, you'll find me there. And my website is liquidcentsbookkeeping.com. You're happy to come around and learn a little bit more about me, my background, what I like to do for fun, and obviously my firm.
Well, Andrea, I'm going to send that connection request right now. It's been great speaking with you. Thanks so much for sharing that challenge and solution with the audience for Gearing Up.
Yeah, thank you so much for having me.